All right, it's a windy day, and you're going to hear a lot of wind in our show. I'm Tommy Kajava, host of Wheels, and Blue and I are taking a ride at the Open Air Tours Classic 3rd Annual. We're going to come back and show you 212 topless beauties here on Wheels. Let's go, Blue. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Tommy Kajava. We've gone through more ways of trying to reduce the wind noise because we don't have a wind sock on this here, Mike. But like I say, we're simulating what it's like driving in a convertible. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Gary Knowles, co-founder, co-perpetrator of the Open Airs Tour Club. Gary, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing real well. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for coming out to see our Open Air topless group. I know it's not hard to ever get anybody to come out to see a topless group of this size, but we're glad you're here. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And it's really my pleasure because I work with Mike Peruka, and he's been telling me about the Open Air Tour Club, and it's such a great club, so diversified, and strictly a convertible car club. But tell us the roots and the history of it, because you were there.
Well, it was a matter of, I was working for the State Division of Tourism at the time, and tried to bring people to Wisconsin to see not just the big sites, which of course we wanted to see those,
right,
but to see everything. The back roads of the state are just incredible. You know, the little nooks and crannies, getting to the small communities, and there are so many out-of-the-way little treasures that we said there must be a good way to bring people in. And I also owned a convertible at the time, and ran into another person who was trying to bring people to the state to do a big car rally. And we got to talking about doing it. He also owned a convertible.
Okay.
And so we said, look, why don't we just try something? This was 1993. We said, why don't we try putting together a little tour that goes around the state, tops down, and we'll just see if anybody comes for it. And we decided to do that like in May. And we said, well, when are we going to do it? We checked the weather calendar. We looked at what would be the best non-rainy month that still had tourism people working in the hospitality industry,
yes,
that the attractions would still be open, there'd still be a lot of hotel rooms available, and that kids would be going back to school, but people, adults who love automobiles would want to take a tour. And so we figured out the third weekend in August is probably the best combination of all those factors. And so we went for it. And, well, we kind of promoted all summer. We made up handbills and passed them around,
right,
and told our friends who had convertibles. And at the end of about 2.5 months, I think we had 12 people that said, oh, well, maybe we'll do that.
Yes.
And so I said to my friend at that time who was working with me, look, this is fun. We'll have a nice little drive with 12 people, but this is going to be it. And, I said, I don't have a summer to waste on this kind of thing.
Right.
Well, it turned out that another friend of mine who happened to be a writer for the Chicago Sun-Times put an article in the paper about what we were trying to do. And the day that we got started, we didn't have any advance registration. We just said, come on and sign up that day. That day, 67 cars turned out, cars from Chicago, from Iowa, from Wisconsin. People came in and said, hey, we want to try this tour with you.
Yeah.
And I said, you must be crazy. People who would just go drive with guys that said they're going to go drive somewhere, they didn't know us from anybody, And so we put it together, and we did a drive, went from Madison, and it followed a route through Wisconsin. And you probably know this because you know a lot about automobiles and history in the state. But Wisconsin had the first automobile race in history.
Of course, near Beaver Dam.
That's
right?
absolutely, well, it started in Green Bay.
Right.
It started in Green Bay, went through Beaver Dam, kind of down through Waterloo, and then over to Madison.
Okay.
And it was actually, people don't know this either, it was sponsored by the state legislature. What happened was in 1873 in Wisconsin, there was an outbreak of equine disorder, which translates as horse whooping cough, and horses were dying right and left.
Right.
And of course, back at that time, there were hardly any automobiles, but there were a couple of experimental ones around. But the state legislature, looking at this, thought, holy cow, if the horses die, who are they going to saddle up and run,
Right.
So they decided, in the Wisconsin spirit, to try to really back something that would give us an opportunity to do some racing. And that would be the first race that they did.
Yeah. So fast forward 15 years, where are we now at the 3rd Annual Open Tour Classic? And how many days it runs and what this particular event is all about?
Well, we run 4 days, and we started on Thursday. And the whole idea of this is one thing: to have fun.
Yes.
And drop your top and have fun. That's
Right,
that's the whole key here. And so what we did is on Thursday we had a welcome reception and a banquet. People came in, drove around town, and got a feeling for the area. On Friday we had what we called a Lapo Winnebago, and you drove all the way around Winnebago, going north south, and then up around the other side,
Okay.
or north south down the other side and back up again.
Now everyone's got a map. And now we are in Appleton, Wisconsin, so you people in the valley who get Time Warner Cable, you're going to dig this because a lot of cool cars and nice sights around the valley. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Gary.
No, that's right. And so what we did is we had people going in two directions, doing a whole lap around Lake Winnebago, driving on the shoreline, and some of the best roads. And a lot of people, of course, are saying, hey, I never knew there were such great roads in Oshkosh and Fond du Lac.
Right.
I always thought it was Highway 41, and so people are having a great time then. And then on Saturday, what we did is did a drive up and down the Fox River.
Which is today.
Which is today, right.
Yes.
And so today they were chasing the fox, we said.
Okay.
And they were out running up and down the river, going to wineries, stopping at the Bergstrom Mahler Museum,
Right.
places like that, having a great time, just exploring a lot of the great little shops and great little attractions in this area.
Right now, what's the neat thing about this is you drive these babies. I mean, these aren't trailer queens, and such a variety of cars. Tell me how many members there are in your club right now.
Well, we have over 300 members, and we try to limit our tours to around 200 or so
Right.
cars. This year we have 212 cars, about 430 people on tour. And what we have is a great group of people, all of whom really want to do this every year. And people, they plan their whole summers around it.
Right.
And so you'll find that people do this, they're passionate about it. They think that driving with the top down is the only way to drive.
Right.
And we even have some people who drive in. We have a winter event, too, that we've planned now.
Okay.
And so they come in winter, not in their convertibles
Right.
and their regular cars, but to talk about convertibles.
Exactly.
And
It's not always about the cars, but the people, and I try to stress that so much on this show. When I interview people and talk about their cars, I get more of a kick out of the interesting stories they have. Like you, you're such a storied historian about the vehicles that we've talked to off camera. It's so neat, and you must find that interesting with your members.
Absolutely. Our people are all kinds. We have young people. We have people who are up in years, shall we say.
Okay.
We had a lady one year who came in and brought her mother who was 90 because she insisted on driving in the convertible, and she was actually riding in the back seat, and the young people were saying, oh, Mom, let's put you up front where there's less wind. She said, heck no, why am I in a convertible? If I didn't want to have wind in my face, I could sit in a rocking chair at home.
Hey, that's how she got to be 90 with that attitude.
That's right, exactly. And people who drive convertibles, they're fun-loving, they're passionate, they love the sun. I mean, what kind of person would buy a car where the top goes down if you didn't expect there was going to be sunshine?
Or wind noise or messed up hair or everything that goes with it. That's the fun of it. So today we're having a concourse show from 3 to 5, and now I'm going to start interviewing some of these people as they pull in and
Great.
clean off their cars. After the show tonight, what are we doing then and then tomorrow?
Well, after the show tonight, there's fireworks, and then we have a putting contest. One of the things we always do on our tours is find a golf course where we have people putting, and we have a putting contest to find the best putter in the group, and that's always a lot of fun.
Sure.
And then tomorrow we're having a wrap-up where all of the places that we visited have been really kind in giving us some prizes and whatever. So we'll be awarding prizes. The people will be voting on their favorite among their cars here today, so we'll be giving them awards. And we're going to tell them the date for the next year and head on out, going back home. It's the quickest 4 days of the year.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to get out there and start talking to people. Gary, you don't get any cooler than this guy. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me because I know you have to get out there because you're a busy man. You got to put this on, right?
We got to put it on. I got to go shoot some pictures, too.
All right, man. Take care.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Pleasure. We're out of here. Well, everybody knows that I'm a Mopar guy, and when this red retina-burning beauty caught my one good eye, I had to come over and meet Leon Thiel, the owner of this 66 Chrysler 300. Leon, awesome car.
Thank you very
man,
much.
Just beautiful. You know, it's convertible, too.
Yes, it is.
It's probably
yes,
why
it
you're part of this club.
That is correct.
All
Yes.
right. Well, tell me a little about this car as far as how long you've owned it, the restoration, tell us, man.
Well, I've bought it. I found it advertised in a newspaper up in Shawano back in 1992.
Okay.
It was parked under a tree. The top was up, but the back window was out.
Yes.
So the trunk was completely rusted out. The back floors are rusted out.
My word.
Somebody had done some body work on it, so the body wasn't too bad. But I took a battery and up there and some gas and poured it in just to make sure that it ran.